MaliciousCompliance, where you have to choose your words wisely. Our first post is by Chair Cavalry. Police officer attempted to intimidate my patient, loses fight to physics. I'm a paramedic. A few months ago, we're coming back from a routine patient transfer when at an intersection about 4 blocks from the base, I noticed a woman sitting on the side of the road with her arms wrapped around herself and her head down. I nudge my partner who's driving, and we flip on the lights, and I see her head come up real fast, and she looks terrified. I get out, and she relaxes when she sees the ambulance. After our approach, I notice bruising on her wrists and other similar signs of domestic abuse. She seems hesitant to get off the curb and into the ambulance, so I decided I'll at least pull out the cot out of the back and give her something a little more comfortable than concrete to sit on. Now, a few important details. All the cots in my service are Skyr-powered cots. You almost certainly seen these before. They're bright yellow with black handles and side panels. These cots have a motor and battery built in to allow us to raise and lower the cot at the touch of a button instead of throwing at our backs having to physically lift the cot up after loading someone. They're usually paired with an automatic loading system built into the ambulance that lifts the cot up into the right height to be pushed inside and also secures the cot when loaded. There's a little red tab at the end of the track just inside the door that you press down to free the cot and allow it to slide out. When you press the tab, it simply releases the cot and the loading cartridge is connected to, and it's up to you to keep it under control until it reaches the unload position and locks into place again. This can be problematic because these cots weigh about 125 pounds, which is about 55 kilograms. As soon as I hit the release tab for the cot, I hear lights and sirens behind me. It's a city police car, which is weird because we had not yet requested police and we are outside the city, in the sheriff's department's jurisdiction. We merely informed dispatch that we were stopping to check on a woman at such and such intersection. The woman says something along the lines of, "Oh God, he's here," and moves faster than me, seeing free food being distributed at base. She dashes past me and pretty much hurls herself into the ambulance, sitting on the bench seat. The cop is approaching and is pissed. I put 2 and 2 together and slam the ambulance door shut. Let's call this police officer Steve, or Piece of Garbage for short. Is she in there? Who? You know dang well who I'm talking about. You mean my patient? I'm afraid I haven't gotten a name yet. Open those doors. I need to talk to her. You're not using my rig as an interview room. You can talk to her at the hospital. We go back and forth like this for a few minutes. My partners at some point came back to see what the holdup was, but overheard my stonewailing and went back to the cab to call our chief. I continued my routine of deny and delay until a pair of deputies, specifically requested for this by the chief, arrived. Oh good, now I have witnesses. See, we had stopped on an upwards incline. I had hit the release tab on the cot and I wanted to slide back. I had to close the door so swiftly I didn't bother pushing the cot back against the stops and locking it in place. Emboldened by the presence of 2 deputies, he gets in my face. "Get out of my way, I'm going to have to charge with obstruction." Okay, I step out of the way and he opens up the double doors. Between the cot, the monitor, and the jump bag, I say that it was probably close to 160 pounds contained by those doors, all of which come barreling out and hits the piece of garbage square in the chest. He falls backwards and lands on his butt. One of the deputies laughs out loud. The other walks up and kneels down beside the guy. He says, "Your shift captain is going to be here in 5. I wouldn't be here if I were you." The piece of garbage gathers himself up and scowls at me, then stomps off. There's a limited amount that I can say about the aftermath, as the trial hasn't settled yet, but we all know how well charges stick to cops. The woman is now living elsewhere, the cop is still a cop, and I've been getting pulled over at least twice a week ever since then. But the video footage of him getting body checked by that cop remains as one of the best things I've ever seen. For clarification, yes, the woman was married to a piece of garbage, and yes, he allegedly is responsible for the abuse. Ooh, this is really touchy. I don't think I'm going to comment on this. Just tell me, if you want to comment, just please comment. If it's way too rude, I probably delete it though. Our next post is by Catches Apples. Word by word, you got it. First, a disclaimer. English is not my first language, I'm on mobile, etc. You get the idea. A little context before. I work for a company that does market research via telephone. We get a lot of different surveys from very different clients. The client says what answers they need, and a group of people make a whole questionnaire out of it. For the words, I don't know how it is in English. It's not my first language, so please imagine when someone says it's a survey. No one will listen any further and hang up. It sounds like you want to sell something and don't say it. Saying it's a study sounds way more important and more people will listen. The starting text which pops up when someone is calling almost every time is the same with few changes to who it's addressed to and what theme it is. The people telephoning it, like me, always start a little creative, something like, "Hey, OP is my name from Company XY. I'm calling you for a study about your contentment with the telecommunications in your company. It's a thing about 6 minutes. Do you have a moment for me?" Often it's not the right person in the beginning, but they just tell you who it is. Now, we got a new study about that thematic telecommunications. The client demanded that they say how we start the call, and we have to read everything as it is written. They often say this but never actually listen to our calls, so no big deal if you start normal as ever. But this special client listened to the calls very frequently, so my boss expected us to read it word for word. The wording was something like this. "Hello, my name is OP. I'm calling from Company XY. We're a market research company, so we don't want to sell or offer you something. Today we're doing a survey in the companies about telecommunications. I want to speak to the person responsible for the telecommunication contracts in your company. Who is that?" So, if we did our normal text, we got very angry calls and mails from the boss. Word by word, he said. So, that's what we did. The number of interviews dropped heavily. Before I had about 8 to 10 a day. Now I have 1 to 2. After a week, we got very angry mail about us being so bad, the clients being totally pissed, so we told the problem. When the person called and heard survey, most of them just hung up, no chance to even explain what we do. A day later, we were told to do it the creative way we did before. We only had to read the questions in a questionnaire word by word, and the numbers went back to normal. You have a point. "Hello, my name is OP. I'm calling from Company XY. Yeah. We're just doing a survey, blah, blah, blah." Yeah, that's definitely gonna get people to really hang up. I would hang up too, to be honest. It's kind of a waste of time, to be honest, those surveys. Our next post is by Cerniza. I probably pronounced that incorrectly. I apologize. "You need to do more evaluations." "Sure, we'll gladly oblige." So, this is when I was still working in a call center. We have a task of doing like 12 call evaluations in our team. I kind of work as support. I have no problem doing this output. I never miss out on those required 12. So somewhat, my other boss, let's call her like Lisa, she kind of informally assigns leads for the supports, but I mainly report to my team leader, Tony, saying that there's a problem, saying that my co-supports haven't been at times meeting those 12 evaluations per week target. So she decides to make up a rule, not client approved, by the way. They have to do more than 12 as buffer, at least 2 to 3 extra per week in case we miss out on some, and she made it mandatory. In my head, I'm like, sure, no problem. Our team only has like half the head count as it is a newly made one, so I basically just have to evaluate people 4 to 5 times as opposed to 2 to 3 times. It counts as practice anyways, and if in the event they have markdowns, having a high evaluation score on the extras would mean their average scores will also increase. So, for the first week, she evaluated this BS rule, which I did exactly twice of what was required by the clients, 24 evaluations. It really is not that much of a bother, as my shift is genuinely chill, as we did not have a whole team yet. I think only 6 to 7 people, only as opposed to normal teams having 15 members. I considered it practice, and I really had nothing else better to do anyways. Now, here's the main character, Tony, my team's team leader, who said to me beforehand that they're going to be strict on the support team's evaluation as the quality of them have been going down. Some are inaccurate when it comes to scoring markdowns. Mainly high scores are given when it should have been lower or higher. It really depends on the situation, as there have been cases of favoritism and biases towards agents. Basically, this will be added work on Lisa, as she has to check each one of our evaluations for a couple of weeks to see if we've been doing our jobs accurately. I can tell she was somewhat pissed, as she would have to do more work on this. It's uncertain if she was informed that there was going to be an audit, but I guess, being she's a lead too, she was also informed of this. Plus the added work she added on my co-supports. I imagine she had to do unpaid overtime on this. You may be wondering as to why it's unpaid. In our country, managerial levels don't really get paid overtime. So for 3 weeks, my co-supports did this. She lifted the extra output also after the audits were done. However, just to annoy her, I still did extra, although not 24 evaluations. I did about 15 to 18 per week, as I really enjoyed getting on her nerves. The cross-checking of evaluations did become lenient though, and management became pretty impressed with doing more than what is necessary, and I got somewhat promoted to another LOB, which has added payments, of course. Too long didn't read. The other boss asked us to do extra evaluations, which isn't client approved, and shortly there was a new rule that she has to cross-check each one of our evaluations for accuracy. Presumably had to do unpaid overtime to do this. Due to the extra work I've done, eventually I got promoted to another LOB. P.S. Lisa and I have mutual I can't pronounce it today. Towards one another ever since our eyes met. Jeez. Do more work. See, this is why you have to be careful. If you tell your people below you to do more work, you'll end up having to do more work. Who knows? At least in this case it is. I don't really know how work really works. Our next post is by A spelled Alicia. He said extra spicy, so I gave him extra spicy. This happened a few months ago to a friend of mine. A little background. My friend is mixed with white and Mexican with very pale skin. He usually gets mistaken as just a white male. His dad also owns a Mexican restaurant. To start, around 3 p.m., these guys walk into the restaurant. Friend was working with register and greeted him. They looked at him with disgust and started speaking to each other in Spanish. They started going on and on about how he was too white to be working there and how he knows nothing about Mexican food. After they finished their rant, the following conversation went like this. Hi, welcome to restaurant. Can I take your order? Yeah, we want to try your nuclear taco challenge and make sure it's extra spicy. So basically, you have to finish 3 spicy tacos in 5 minutes. Guy 2 in Spanish. He probably thinks extra spicy is ketchup. What? They laugh. Friend smiles and goes to the back to put in the order while handling each of the guys' waivers and pointing them to the table. Cue malicious compliance. Guy goes into the back to put in the order. Well guys, we have another one. Make sure it's extra spicy. Friend grins from ear to ear while they make the tacos. He watches them pour on the special sauce specifically for rude people like this. He happily walks out of the kitchen and places the food on the table in front of them. Friend asks to take a video and a before and after photo, which they happily agreed to. Friend takes the before photo and sets up the camera in front of them, making sure it's connected to all the TVs in the restaurant. Friend reads over the rules. No drinking before time is up, finish all 3 tacos, no giving away food, and prizes, a t-shirt with I beat the nuclear challenge on it, and a photo of the winner's wall, and a free meal with their next visit. Friend goes on over the speaker and announces, Listen up, guy 1 and 2 are attempting the nuclear challenge. Any words you'd like to say before we begin? This is going to be a walk in the park. Yeah, this doesn't even look like a challenge. Let the challenge begin. Friend starts a timer and smiles as the men start to struggle after the first bite. Guy 1 turns beet red and Guy 2 looks like he's about to vomit. Both men tap out before finishing the first taco. Friend comes over and takes their after picture. Guy 1, F you, I want to speak to your manager. We know the owner and I can get you fired. Guy 2, Yeah, no one can finish that. Are you trying to kill us? Get your manager right now. Friend goes over to get his dad and brings him over to the men. What seems to be a problem, sir? Your employee was trying to kill us. I demand a refund. I'm sorry to hear that. What did you order, sir? We ordered the nuclear taco challenge, and it almost killed us. I'm sorry, sir, but the waiver clearly states that we can't get sued and we don't have to reimburse you if something happens during the challenge. We can and will sue you. I want to speak to the owner. We can get you fired. I am the owner. Friend was watching from the register and could barely hold in his laughter. Both guys walked out screaming multiple profanities at Friend and Dad. The fallout. They did try to sue, but nothing came from it. Surprisingly enough, more people are interested in the challenge after their performance. Friend makes sure to give everyone the actual sauce for the challenge. Me and my friends still laugh at the video to this day. Sorry, I'm not allowed to post the video here for privacy reasons. Yep. Wow. Wow, I'm getting happy just imagining it. Jeez. Imagine a bunch of guys just... Oh... Anyways, yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. Sorry. Oh, I felt like I just ate those tacos. Give me a second. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and thank you all so much for watching, and peace